Hey everyone, Good Friday. I'm here to share with you some results of research that missionaries that Marcia and I know from our experience when we were down in Illinois. The husband is getting his doctorate, and they are missionaries in Guinea, West Africa. And the research is based on what is it that is bringing people to faith in Christ in Guinea, West Africa, which is not an easy place. There's a heavy concentration of Muslims there, but God's doing something pretty special. So he did his doctoral work and discovered that there are two things that are changing people's lives, not just in Guinea, but really we see this happening around the world. Those two things are pretty simple, and one is prayer and two is holy living. Now, I'm sure as soon as I say that, you're yawning and thinking, yep, I've heard that before. But what does that really mean? Well, first of all, he discovered that prayer means more than just praying before meals, praying before bedtime, and praying, at church in a Bible study or in a class or during the message or the worship portion of the service. Prayer, as they examined it in the Ghanaian church, where God is moving and working in a powerful way, is passion-filled prayer. Passion-filled prayer. They're praying sometimes as individuals, families, and as churches, 1 or 2 hours a day. Now, passion-filled prayer can only happen when we get serious about looking at the world through the eyes of God, gaining a burden for a lost world and for the situation around us, and then praying with God's heart and God's attitude toward that burden, toward that situation. That's really challenging for me, and I'm guessing it might be challenging for you. To pray with the passion of God, to pray with the concern and the heart of the Lord. Only something like that can drive you to pray more than 15 minutes, to get lost in prayer and kind of lose time because your heart is aching for your neighbors, for your relatives, for the community, for the nation, for the world around you. And you know that God has the power to change people's lives. And you won't let go of God until you sense that happening. So maybe the way we need to begin praying is, God, give me a heart of passion. And not letting go of God until our heart begins to break from the world that's around us. The second thing that they have found is that what's changing people's lives is holy living. Now, by holy living, they don't mean following certain rules and regulations, being legalists, but holy living in terms of living out, for instance, the fruit of the Spirit toward others: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Holy living in having a biblical, Christ-like attitude toward money, sex, and power, which our culture is just obsessed with. How do you get to that place? Well, I think the way you get to that place is you have to give yourself away. I was reading my devotions today in John chapter 11, where Jesus is speaking. And one of the things that he says there is we've got to be willing to give our life away and take up our cross, in essence, and live the Jesus way. It's hard to live a holy life when you're obsessed with yourself. It's hard to live a holy life when you're always thinking about what you need to do to improve your situation. I can only live a holy life, a life that's devoted to God, when I'm convinced that all I need is Jesus, that Jesus is all that matters, and that the world around me desperately needs him. And the way the world's going to see him and know him is when I live like him, when I have his attitude toward the environment, or his attitude toward sex or money or power, material things. So maybe what we have to do before we, quote, start living a holy life is ask God to help us have the right perspective about life. Life is not about me. Life is not about my comfort, and life is not about getting ahead. Life is about just following Jesus where he leads me and putting him first. That is what's going to change our country. A lot of people are looking for answers right now in politicians and political parties. different movements and organizations. Human sin problems trying to be solved by human sin answers never works. What the world needs right now is the power of God surging through it. And God said that'll happen when we get serious about prayer. Would you join me in praying and asking God to give you a heart of passion for the lost condition of our culture and society and the people who are around us? Would you ask God to help you, as I'm asking God to help me, to live out a holy life? To have a biblical attitude toward money, sex, and power? To have a biblical attitude for living out the fruit of the Spirit? To forget ourselves, to lose ourselves, and to put God and others first. As we learn to pray with passion, live holy lives, we don't have to then worry about trying to wear the right clothes, have the right style of music, use the right version of the Bible, have the right color of carpet, have the right programs in place. Those are all human ways, not bad ways necessarily, but human ways of trying to bring change. Those things don't make a difference. What makes a difference isn't human strategy, but prayer, holiness. Hope you have a good Friday.